Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about a study, the climate, the Republican Party's ever evolving stance when it comes to the climate, and a new development, one that I have to admit I did not see coming, and a senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. We are going to go through that, and then we're going to add some context and turn the rates into real numbers. Okay. So, Senator Johnson was talking to an expert, asking them about their study. And it dealt with the impacts of climate on mortality, I want to say out to 2100. Johnson from Wisconsin kind of very much honed in on the idea that because his state is cold, as the climate warms, it's beneficial to his state, in that he could take comfort. These are actual words that were used, comfort, in the study. The expert did attempt to explain to the senator that there are 49 other states in the United States. That did not seem to really have any impact. But we have apparently hit the point where the Republican Party has moved from climate change isn't a thing to, okay, it's real, but it's not happening because of people, with there a brief stop, I think, at yes, people have something to do with it. And now, yes, it's happening, but it's good, actually. The expert did explain that it's a global thing. Again, not information that Johnson really seemed to process. He seemed very intent on pointing out that most of the issues, at least up to 2100, would occur in Africa, and that, it was in red, and the blue areas are where things would be okay, and he was in the blue. The expert did everything he could to point out the unequal effects of climate change, and it just did not seem to go anywhere. The rates, when they do studies like this, they talk about, extra or excess deaths per 100,000. Sometimes it's super useful to go ahead and convert those into real numbers to get a good picture of the problem. On average, across the globe, assuming we're not just talking about Wisconsin, which apparently exists in a vacuum, the rates, if you were to calculate the excess deaths with a population of 8 billion, global population of 8 billion, you're looking at around 6.8 million extra deaths a year. These are the numbers that are being shrugged off. Now, again, people like to think things happen and they don't impact other things. If you lived in an area that was suddenly hostile to human life, would you stay there? Or would you move to one of the blue areas? 6.8 million people a year. I mean, that sounds like something that might cause mass migration, which would put a strain on infrastructure, resources, everything. Rest assured, even if you live somewhere that is chilly, climate change is a global game. Everybody has to get involved. It is one of the most, if not the most, pressing issues that humanity has to deal with. It isn't something that respects state lines or international borders. And it doesn't stop just because the model stops in 2100. a politician's position on climate and actually doing something to mitigate should probably be a defining characteristic. It should be something that is heavily considered when you're talking about giving that person your vote. Rest assured, the Republican Party is totally going to embrace the idea that the U.S. is in a blue area for the next 100 years or whatever, and therefore this isn't really something we need to worry about. That's not the way this works, not in the long term. We don't have time for the Republican Party to catch up here. We don't have time for the Democratic Party to acknowledge there's an issue and not take huge steps to mitigate it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.